And we're back with an all-new episode of Keep It. I'm Louis Fertel, and I'm not working at Kimmel this week, so get this, I'm fully rested. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing for the podcast, since I usually do this sleep-deprived and livid. But today I'm here, effervesced, and equally effervesced is my co-host today, who is a writer, but more importantly, a bon vivant. But she's written on the sex lives of college girls. She's an Emmy winner for The Babysitters Club. It's my friend Rheeqrheeq Chainey. Welcome back to Keep It.
Hi, it's an absolute honor to be here in full fucking glam at 9 a.m. in the morning.
Did you know that when I go into your house, I dream of stealing your Emmy? Because you put it right in the front vestibule.
It is a space of false humility.
Yes.
I think like, oh, it's where my thermostat is. No one could look, except it does have its own light.
Yes.
It is beautiful.
No, it looks like it's basking. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have Ocean's 8-like fantasies of stealing it every time with the help of my friends.
I want to do it. I should put it in the bathroom, as many a award winner has said, so that people can do their speeches if they want to. But she's heavy and very precarious. Somebody could just fall over.
And with the exception of the Oscar, probably the best looking in the light.
Yeah, she has a sheen.
Yeah.
They. I don't know.
Right.
I actually don't know. But it is very, as I am, bottom heavy.
That's so nice that you can relate to your award.
That's important, to connect to the award.
Oh my God, I've never heard that done before. Okay, now, I'm sure you were aware there's this new show on Netflix called Boots, which is military oriented, but more importantly, twink empowering.
Yeah, I think it's so clear it was made so you could call your friends and ask, are you watching Boots? And
Yes.
that's most of the vibe there.
And it's based off this book called The Pink Marine.
Yeah.
I feel like you are maybe, out of any friend I've ever had, the most Netflix oriented. I feel like you'll see everything that's on Netflix.
I will give it a ganda. The beauty of living in my house without a person else in there is I can watch whatever the fuck I want to. But Boots is kind of fascinating because it is a period piece from 1990. Gasp.
Yes.
Even though Vera Farmiga is dressed like Rosemary's Baby's aunt.
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting time. But it is, I feel like Netflix it has to serve all of these markets, and it's trying to pull in the middle-aged like I who watch Diplomat, but also younger kids who aren't exposed to these now historical 1990 stories like Boots.
I was going to get into what the Pentagon has said about Boots, but you've actually tapped into what I really want to talk about with this show is it keeps insisting it's from 1990, and then it takes the sound cues to remind me that we're in 1990, like this very 2025 gay guy is the star of it, having gay guy 2025 problems, and then they'll just throw in Tom's Diner by Suzanne Vega. You can't do that.
But maybe it's all to say all of you boys who think you're very, very special in your feelings, they've existed the whole time.
Right. No, read the works of Terrence McNally, and you'll know that we're not the first.
Exactly. It will not be the last, thankfully.
But unfortunately, we have to get into what the Pentagon has said about this show. I don't think of myself as like defending people who join the military. Like, it's just not something I'm good at.
It's not one of my oeuvres.
I do think they have the fashion right. The fits are hot, as the children would say, and only children.
Only the children would say.
But the quote goes like this. Under President Trump and Secretary Hegseth, the U.S. military is getting back to restoring the warrior ethos. Our standards across the board are elite. Another great Netflix show. Uniform and sex neutral, because the weight of a rucksack or human being doesn't care if you're a man, a woman, gay, or straight. We will not compromise our standards to satisfy an ideological agenda, unlike Netflix, whose leadership consistently produces and feeds woke garbage to their audience and children.
Oy.
My first reaction is, I love calling Pete Hegseth a secretary.
You're so stupid.
Girl, get back to that typewriter.
Come on, girl. Take some quick notes.
Let me check the Rolodex.
Let's see. I actually really... Do you need a coffee? Do you need a tea? Yeah. Also, there is something funny. Them saying sex neutral is very interesting for this administration, which is very dedicated to I don't know, take your
sex
creatine,
defining.
Like creatine lead in your protein powder-esque masculinity. So you guys are sex neutral now is a new brand, and let's move into it.
And also, they are railing against a show where the star is a big fan of Wilson Phillips. That is what the show is about.
Well, it's like, who are you swinging at is a conversation we keep having. And like, there is a moment in the pilot of Boots, where a black recruit has to be handed shaving powder instead of shaving cream so that he doesn't get ingrown hair. And that is something that's happening right now. They're trying to say that the clean shaven look is the only way you can be in the military, whereas like it's only to just punish Black and brown people. So there is something like very current about this show that is without time and space.
Yeah.
And I think that's the point. I mean, the one straight guy I talk to weekly is the one who told me to watch it. And when Julian, I watched it and it was fine. Why are they so threatened by a clavicle heavy twink trying to kiss a boy? Maybe their masculinity isn't as firm as they think it is.
Correct. And also, I want to try to put my finger on why the queerness in the show accidentally feels so contemporary and why it wouldn't be the same in 1990. I just feel like the dialogue this main character is having with the other potentially queer recruits feels a little too knowing. Am I just too jaded? I don't know.
But it's the distance of the story, right? So we can put our feelings on a 1990 story and be like, I don't know if he would, that sounds like somebody who's at $3 bill.
Yeah.
I don't think that he would have been.
A lovely place in New York.
A lovely place in Brooklyn. But yeah, there is something to the fact that this is the Miles Hazard, the actor from Parenthood. They all have 2015 faces.
Yeah, right.
So that also leans into it. But I don't know. I often think about what period pieces we saw when we were kids, whether or not our parents would have thought that sounded too in vogue versus
because we call that cell phone face or iPhone face or whatever. I wonder if they have a version of that. You know, like did they grow up with the Jeremy Irons Brideshead Revisited, and they're like, there's no way that tall weasel would have acted like that then.
Exactly, that really accessible reference, I think, is
thank you. This is how I connect with the viewers.
I know, baby.
Okay, so we have a stacked episode. Lots of material to review.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm going to say our girl, Julia Roberts, is in a new movie. And she has a lot of things to teach us about the world and, who's canceled and who isn't. The movie is After the Hunt, directed by our man, Luca Guadagnino. Yeah. Except he's on some new shit. And it's not the uppers we like.
No, look, I am Julia Hive of a millennial proportion. As we've mentioned, I've seen...
You have a Mona Lisa smile.
I just be smirking off the side of my face all the time. Da Vinci Code is trying to get me. I do feel like, as someone who's seen America's Sweethearts too many times, and as you know, someone who had a Challengers-themed birthday party last year.
Correct.
This was a film that I was supposed to be the audience for, but upon leaving, I didn't know who they were making this movie for.
Yeah.
And again, I feel part of that was... how far away from a story should we be to revisit it?
Yes.
It's set...
Because this is one of these other weird period pieces from 5 years ago.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a very short period of time to then let's take a step back and look at it with some sort of, opaque view of what opinion and truth is. But I don't know. It's set in September 2019 at Yale, and they put it in a philosophy department, which really does feel like a elbow patch on an elbow patch to be discussing like who is telling the truth and what matters.
And we'll get into that. Murky opaqueness. We'll see how far we get.
Exactly.
Our guest today is the fabulous comic who's back with a new special, Michelle Wolf. She is recently a mom. She also lives in the mysterious planet of Barcelona, which I've never visited. I only know the Whit Stillman movie. I've never been there.
I'm only Vicky or Christina. So.
Another lovely movie. Yeah. And we'll get into that guy too. And then furthermore, Riri and I are also big fans of Martin Scorsese. So we're going to get into the docuseries Mr. Scorsese, directed by Rebecca Miller, who, of course, is married to Daniel Day-Lewis, who gives one of his rarest interviews. I don't even remember the last time I saw him give an interview.
He appears from a bluff to do a talking head. It was amazing.
Right. And he's like holding like a mystical magical instrument and has long flowing hair.
Oh, he did his time as a cobbler and now he's back.
Right. Yes. Now he's cobbling up interviews. So that's our episode today. We'll be right back with more Keep It. Luca Guadagnino's latest film, After the Hunt, finally hit theaters nationwide after a mixed bag of reviews from the Venice Film Festival, starring Julia Roberts, Long May She Reign, Andrew Garfield, Long May She Reign, and Ayo Edebiri. The Me Too-tinged movie follows the fallout on a college campus after a professor is accused of assault. Now, it's nice to see Julia back on the big screen, but in general, the movie hasn't been getting much love. Riri, were you looking forward to seeing the film?
Oh, of course I was. I remember they released the cast announcement last year. And to quote one of the stars, I've never been more seated.
Yeah.
I love these sort of small portrait films, whether it's on a campus or a boardroom. I don't know. White people behaving badly is always going to be one of my safe spaces. But upon seeing it, I realized I don't know if the seat was for me.
Yeah.
I was really confused as to who they were trying to reach with this movie.
Well, here's the thing. We can get into what the movie is actually about in a second. I will say, for the drabness that you're sort of immersed in with this movie, it is just too long a movie, I want to say. Before we actually get into the content of it, Luca's movies tend to be so sensual that you can actually feel what's happening in the movie. Like, I think of A Bigger Splash and like, I'm like overwhelmed with sensations, or Call Me By Your Name, or even Suspiria, which was so gross I could barely sit through it. But in this movie, it's all sleek services and very aloof people, and lots of distance between all the characters, even if they're bantering philosophically the entire time. So it's just a chilly, drab movie. Now we actually get into the content of it. You know what this movie felt to me like altogether? I want to compare it to an earlier Julia Roberts movie, August Osage County, and that it feels like, and this is what August Osage County is, this is not, an adaptation of a play where the verve of the play doesn't translate to the screen.
Yeah.
Whereas if you watched August Osage County actually in a theater, the screaming and the fights and like the dinner table drama, that all plays really well, and it's what you want out of a play.
Eat the fish, bitch. Yes.
And then when you watch the movie, it's like, why does this feel slow? Why does this feel like there's too many characters? Why does it feel like there's like less of an urgency than there should be? It feels like there's not an engine really making this thing occur. Though I will say it got more entertaining to me as it went along. It's the first hour that was really hard for me.
It does feel like it is a kitchen sink play.
Yeah.
Let these folk in a philosophy office discuss their points of view on an issue, and then we will reveal who has been up to no good. But you're completely correct. It doesn't really translate to something that should be a cinematic moment, even if it is leaning on the slights of intimacy. Luca had so many close shots of hands and glasses. I'm like, girl, pull it out. Pull the camera out. I don't need to see. I don't think we have established enough sensuality between these people or mismanaged intimacy to have that as a part of the film.
Yeah.
And it was really frustrating because I love the way that he directs dynamics. It just, honestly, it felt like a script problem to me.
Yes, yeah. So in this movie, Julia Roberts is an esteemed philosophy professor. She's married to Michael Stuhlbarg, whose most memorable role to date is the dad in Call Me By Your Name. But there was like a 10-year window where he was in at least 3 Best Picture nominees a year.
Yeah, he's been booked, blessed and busy.
Yeah, right. And then Julia Roberts is sort of having an inappropriate relationship, seemingly, with Andrew Garfield, another member of the philosophy department. Yeah. They're both on the tenure track. There's some playful competition there. And then she has this student who's this kind of seeming hotshot, played by Iowa Debris, who we start to realize other people have suspicions about. She comes from wealth. Yeah. They just find her to be insincere altogether. Maybe she's a plagiarist. Anyway, Iowa Debris then comes up with an allegation about Andrew Garfield. And that sets everything into motion. Suddenly his career is in jeopardy. Suddenly, where is she coming from? Suddenly Julia Roberts has to vouch for Andrew Garfield, and her husband doesn't believe him. That's the dynamics in play here. And it's all under the guise of a serious, like a guy telling you he's sick of cancel culture. Yeah. This is the vibe of the movie. And you know yet you're in for a movie about cancel culture. In the opening credits, when the font you see that says cast in alphabetical order is the same font that Woody Allen uses for his movies. Oh, so you are already in a shitty mood when this begins.
It starts with a black card that says it all happened at Yale, which did make me tee-hee.
I continue to be shocked by that. I can't believe you can just set this at Yale.
You can set anything anywhere.
Like, you don't need their permission?
Well, due to my other institution,
we went to Harvard, everyone.
Anyway, yeah, you can set anything anywhere. They can do anything anywhere. But
they definitely didn't film it there. I believe it was filmed in London.
No, I mean, it definitely, there is a chilliness of Connecticut that I think they probably wanted to loop
By the way, if they had called it a chilliness of Connecticut, I would have been in. That was the ice storm.
Yeah, exactly. It is crazy that how worried white guys are still about getting canceled about this. It's so amazing to me. The issues of like who to believe and where does the buck stop, and does the professor that hears the story, how much does she owe to her student? sure, we have all those themes, and then people are still not believed. But to have the font of white fear from the top was just unnecessary to me. It didn't feel current. And I don't know if that's the echo chamber we live in, but it really, I wanted more out of it. And I don't know if I wanted it. Well, no, I know I wanted it to be sluttier or messier or have a stance.
Yeah.
But the stancelessness of it really had me wanting.
It had the feeling of one of those Republican guys at a desk being like, I'm just putting questions out there. And it's like, first of all, we're all aware of the questions.
We know the questions, babe.
Yeah.
Have an answer, or have half an answer. It was so obsessed with, Io, she's black, but she's gay.
Yeah.
But she's rich, but she lies.
And also she's maybe an unconvincing liar.
Yeah.
Like when she voices the allegation, everything in her voice says, can I ask this? I'm sort of analyzing her acting choices. Now that's another thing I want to get into. She's up against like the movie heavyweights here.
Yeah,
Julia Roberts was born to put some rage on the silver screen.
Angry Julia Roberts. There is nothing better. I need this to be clear. I love a blonde manicured Julia Roberts asking people if she's just too much of a cold bitch.
Yes.
Like, yes, do it more.
Right.
Leave the house.
No,
come out.
Among the like kind of it girls we've had emerge over the past 40 years, Julia's the only one who's like, actually, I can also snap your neck.
Yeah. And I appreciate it. And that is a woman from Smyrna, Georgia.
Correct. Yes.
Exactly.
It's the Holly Hunters. You know what I mean? Where it's like something's backwoods about you.
I miss Patricia Clarkson. Anyway.
Yes, right.
I do feel like there are moments where you're like, oh, I'm watching this star do something that we would not necessarily have gotten her to do, or she would have wanted to do 20 years ago.
Correct.
That's really fun. But on the other side of it, I did feel that she maybe was the only one who was attuned to the movie she was in.
Yeah.
Because we had some kooky performances.
Andrew Garfield, way more over the top than I'm used to him being. Now, in the movie, he's like obviously very defensive, and
he has a beard because he's in academia.
Right, he's not as cute as he usually is.
No.
That's part of the drama. But like his overreactions and Michael Stahlberg being such a little bitch.
Michael Stahlberg, we get it. You like music. Baby,
Yes.
turn the record down.
Right.
Put your records off. It just got so...
We never heard Corinne's follow-up where she's like, actually, I need to go to bed.
Actually, take the AirPods out. Yeah, Michael Stahlberg playing the, caretaking husband. They did mention for 1 second that Julia's character is back from a medical illness that was never disclosed.
Right. So, yeah, she keeps like doubling over in intense pain and vomiting. And I thought it was, she has like cancer or something.
But it was ulcers.
Yes, just ulcers from stress.
And I get it. I mean, I don't want it. Don't put it on me. But it could have had some sort of nuance to it of like, she's someone fighting back for her place after having to step away from the ladder that she has watched build, blah, blah, blah. But it was just so insane, her relationship with her husband, this obvious flirtation with Andrew Garfield's character, swanning all over her. And they do make a point, and that is something that is true in a lot of positions of power, where there is someone who's like, I just want fans.
Yeah.
And I collect fans. And that is Julia's character, Alma.
It must be said also that a knock against this movie is, in that regard, it feels like it was trying to take some of Tar's shine, which is a movie about that, right?
Yeah.
Like this is an academic woman who has fans around her and then sort of selects people to rise up in status and then knocks others down once she's done with them. And there's some of that here, but then it kind of gets away from that, and it's just about, what is this woman going to do now that she's around somebody who's accusing somebody else of something? And
which is, I think, something that is, in theory, relatable, right? You see a wrong, you were not in the middle of it. What are you going to, do you have a responsibility to do anything?
Yeah.
Or are you allowed to say, I don't really know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think, unfortunately, again, they did not help us towards what this creative team wanted to say about that.
Right.
It's more that like, I don't know. If y'all go to Yale, this could happen.
I also feel like none of the characters had enough interesting specificity to make the story memorable. They all, to me, felt like archetypal characters in a word problem about cancel culture on the SAT.
But at the same time, they were mix and matching affinity groups so that no one was like too in the clear, right? So you have Julia and her ulcers, but
always together.
It's always together. But she's, blonde and chain smokes. And then you have, Andrew, he's simping, but his shirt's open. Asian and Io is Black, which they only mentioned twice in the entire movie, which I think is incredibly Ivy League. But she is incredibly rich, but she's a plagiarist, and it did feel like, how do I take these archetypes of victim, predator, witness, and in theory make it more interesting? But instead I was sitting there thinking, okay, so you don't give this person enough power to say that they have to be in the wrong.
Yes.
And it just, I don't know, nothing felt it didn't feel organic to me.
And also, this is a spoiler twist, it's then revealed that at one point in her life, Julia Roberts lied about somebody assaulting her. So it's just like you said, it's like, oh, the woman who should be the moral authority here, she's bad too.
And in the end, it's like, no, it just has the wrong opinion about the time she was sexually assaulted. And they have a moment towards the end where it's like, did she lie about this? She's like, no, I just had an affair with a grown man when I was 14.
Yes. And she's like, and she keeps wording the situation in a way where the guilt should be on her. She's like, he had no choice. I forced him. I was a young teenage girl and I forced him. Yeah. And that is one of the more interesting things I think was in the film, of the woman-on-woman dynamic of how far I've come and how dare you want it to be easier for you coming from behind me. Yeah. Or the things that we blame ourselves for and have no distance for even 30 years later. Right. I thought that was interesting and kind of true. I've run into that in real life. But it was a rare moment of stamping an opinion or a take on just Blur. You have Chloe Sevigny playing a character out of truly shocking, where she doesn't speak for an hour and then she starts complaining about someone stealing her yogurt. Yes. In the most insane styling we've ever had. Who is that character supposed to be? That is a professor archetype of a different time. Right. She seemed like the most loser Gen X person I've ever seen. Like Morrissey or The Smiths comes on. She goes, I can't believe you could even play this. What, were you born yesterday? What's going on? We hear Michael Jackson every day. If you do the math on it, girl, you would have been in college in 97. Calm down. It wasn't that deep. Yeah. You would have been fine. There is an antiquated lens on a lot of this in terms of like what the institution they're trying to blow up looks like. Also, the movie takes place largely in 2019. So it's also this movie about, do things like the Me Too movement, have they swung us in this entirely different direction? Like, is everything so extreme oriented that we've lost nuance in these conversations? But again, if you hadn't had that conversation with somebody Bill Maher-like in your life in 2019, you weren't on the same planet I am. That's the problem. It's just not fresh. It kept asking questions. I'm like, yes, I remember the questions. And I want Julia Roberts to get close to a young woman's face and say, not everything's meant to be comfortable. I want that. Yes. But I've been told that the whole time. That's not necessarily a new line definitely for kids younger than us and for people our age. So I wish that everyone had taken a little longer to work on what they really wanted to say, because I think they could have said something interesting and it just didn't land. Let's talk about Luca for a second. Where do you stand on just his career? What's your favorite Luca moment? Oh, I do love Call Me By Your Name, just because she, and by she, Riri, loves to leave a theater weeping. Oh, sure. Just not weeping. And that's a movie that will tell you how to weep, because you can see every mucous membrane just exploded on his face by the end of that. When I think about Timmy calling his mom to pick him up, I was like, well, that's a wrap on me. I'm good. But A Bigger Splash, I think, is like the most interesting movie to me, because there were Matthias Schoenaerts looking great. Tilda, I have laryngitis, I can't talk. Ray Fiennes dancing the Rolling Stones, perfect scene. Dakota Johnson, again, blonde. But there were some really interesting sexual dynamics in that, and I don't know. I feel like that felt fresh and of a moment. Yeah. And I think that that's something he can really do. I have a real problem with when people call Me By Your Name boring. I mean, it's like, well, you clearly have never been gay, because the longing takes that long. The longing. Oh my God. And also, do you know what's interesting about that movie? If you watch it again and just watch for Armie Hammer, I would describe his performance as a bit stilted, which works for the character because he's supposed to be this try-hard academic. But like, it's almost like stilted people are who you're likelier to have a crush on, because you're like, why can't they just... You're figuring out their behavior. Like, why are they acting like that? And that's part of the intrigue. Well, and I think it makes it really believable. And in a
in that case, a family of Italian folk and expats whose one of their currencies is charm.
Yes.
To have a wall with tiny shorts give you nothing. I understand.
The dream.
It's the dream.
Yeah.
I get it. I remember when that house from Call Me By Your Name went on sale, and me and the poorest people I know being like, if we put our $12 together, we too can have a man not want us in a stone pool. And that was just the dream.
I also want to say, I mentioned her already, but Luca taught me to really appreciate Dakota Johnson.
Yeah.
I loved her in Suspiria, a movie that I could barely sit through. And Tilda was also hilarious in that movie. But I just don't need to see elbows bend back in time like that. Like, oh, good, a knee. You broke her knee? I can't see.
No, I want to watch Zendaya in sunglasses. Look at those boys move. And I think that's okay. I think life is too much. It's too hard out there. And sometimes you just need to see more short shorts.
Yeah. No, Challengers really was it too. That's a movie that we really should rewatch every year. I wish there was a tennis holiday.
You know, I own it. I had to buy it for the party.
Okay.
We could watch it anytime, darling.
Over. I wore my tennis outfit to that party. I was there.
Good.
All right. So what did you think of After the Hunt? Put it in the comments and just be correct. That's my only
That's all we hope for.
Keep It is brought to you by OneSkin. Check out my pearly glow. What do you think is responsible for it? That's right, it's OneSkin. Known for cult skincare favorites like OS1 Body, OS1 Face, and OS1 Eye, OneSkin stands out for their science-first approach to skin aging, delivering hydration, barrier support, and powerful longevity benefits in every product. Customers consistently rave about how their skin is smoother, firmer, and healthier looking, with results that get better over time, improving both the appearance and the overall health of their skin. No wonder OneSkin's products have over 10,000 five-star reviews. Certified safe for sensitive skin, and you're looking at it. Their products are free from over 1,500 harsh or irritating ingredients, dermatologist tested, and have been awarded the National Eczema Association Seal of Acceptance by the NEA, delivering powerful results without the side effects. OneSkin is changing how we age by focusing on skin and scalp health at the cellular level. Powered by their patented OS1 peptide, every formula is designed to keep skin healthier, stronger, and more resilient over time. For a limited time, try OneSkin with 15% off using code KEEPIT at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co with code KEEPIT. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. This episode is brought to you by the new show Hal and Harper on MUBI. From acclaimed filmmaker Cooper Rife, Hal and Harper is a funny, heartfelt, and sometimes heartbreaking look at the complex bond between siblings. The series also stars Lily Reinhart in a standout performance as Harper, with Mark Ruffalo as their dad, whose unexpected news forces the siblings to confront their past and the versions of themselves they've carried into adulthood. As the lines blur between closeness and codependence, memory and reality, Hal and Harper explores how a bond formed in childhood can shape every relationship that comes after, for better or worse. Critics are calling it profoundly relatable and pitch perfect. Hal and Harper is your next must-watch. Now streaming on MUBI. There's always debate over who's the preeminent director of our time, but Apple TV has offered a compelling argument with its new docuseries, Mr. Scorsese. The 5-part series examines everything from Marty's films to his relationships to his inspirations, all through the lens of documentarian Rebecca Miller. Now, Riri, Marty has been around for decades, but were there any questions that you were hoping this documentary would answer?
I don't know, maybe his beard oil regimen,
sure,
something like that. I think what was really interesting to me watching this, other than the fact that of course it found me and I immediately had to dive in, was I was thinking of when I met Martin Scorsese. Like, for me, it was around Gangs of New York.
Okay.
There were, of course, thank you TNT for playing Goodfellas and other movies from the past, but seeing this person on TV publicizing his movie, I was like, that seems like someone's nice dad.
Yeah.
And he even talks about it at the time in an interview with Kitty Couric around, he's like, I don't know how you sell a picture anymore. I guess going on TV to show you how friendly I am. And he did it really well. He's an actor on Shark Tale. He does bits with Tina and Amy from the audience at the Globes. But to actually step back and look at what built this man, what landed him there, was fascinating. And I wasn't looking for it, but for where I am right now in my life, it was really, really interesting. And I felt really connected to it.
When we were putting this episode together, though, one of the things you said was, you're like, oh, of course I'm watching that. Now, why of course? Have you long been a fan of his movies or no?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm a big fan of gangster movies, movies that deal with pain and spirituality. Little guys, big glasses. I think
A lot of little people in his movies. A lot of attitude.
A lot of little pizzazz. Give him the rats. I think
That's how you describe Joe Pesci. Go ahead.
Ooh, baby.
Yeah.
But no, I also am deeply under the spell of the documentary industrial complex that we're
I
going through
kind of
right now,
concur also.
which
yeah.
is like I think is more the thing. I think that we are living in this time where we're trying to review moments of scandal or history immediately. And for this one, of course, because of the topic, it was 6 hours long.
Yeah.
And you had to really like let it seep into you. And I just had a really great time because he makes beautiful pieces and has been at turning points of debate in terms of what art is and what we're supposed to put forward and what is commendable versus what is debaucherous or vile in a really potent way. Far from what we were just talking about without having a take. This man has had a lot of opinions.
Now, all celebrity memoirs, biopics,
Yes.
life, things that cover a celebrity's entire life.
Mm-hmm.
I will say a problem for me, generally speaking, is I always think the moment before they emerge as a preeminent so-and-so is the most interesting. Like I love in the Mariah memoir when she's doing backup for Brenda K. Starr and Vision of Love is about 6 months away. I want to know about that moment where it's like all crystallizing, because then after that, if you're like you or me, we already know their careers. You know what I mean? Like for me, this was a fun documentary to watch, but a lot of it felt like a cursory overview of all of the movies he's made. You know, it's like, I remember Goodfellas. I remember The King of Comedy or Last Temptation of Christ or whatever. I don't know that I had much to learn from a 3-minute reevaluation of all those movies. That said, I love realizing that, you know, when he made Mean Streets, which was probably his breakout in terms of establishing who Martin Scorsese is, realizing that a lot of what made that movie amazing and memorable and urgent in all of its carnage and the way the dialogue overlapped and who the characters were is he's just stealing from his own childhood. He's like, I was stuck with asthma inside watching these people out in the streets be violent with each other, have these kind of relationships, and he basically just transferred that to the big screen, and we all saw what he saw finally.
Well, at its essence, this docuseries is an ode to the indoor kid.
Yes.
And as one, thank you. I love to be seen. But also, I think that is the fascinating thing, the authenticity of the way those characters spoke and moved through spaces. You're like, oh, that's who he was exposed to. That was his uncle. Those were the people that filled the window panes that he had to watch from afar.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to me as someone who is a writer to think about how those are established worlds that we are allowed to see. But I question whether or not I can tell stories that are from my life or other people whose lives have not already been gold gilded by the Academy. I thought that was like pretty fascinating. But for him, that wasn't seen yet.
Right.
He had to go put pencil to page with, Pileggi and Schrader and other people to get to the truth of what those lives were like.
Yes. Here's one problem I had with the mythologizing of Martin Scorsese. And I want to say I've seen all of his movies. Yeah. I find almost all of them enjoyable. Even Silence, which I thought had its moments.
And I think I'm not going to take a moment for silence at that. You can just keep on.
Okay. If there was a female director who made movies and 80 to 90% of the cast were women, in talking about this woman, we would say, what an important filmmaker for women.
Yeah.
We would be like, what an important woman's movie director. There is not a single moment in this movie where anybody says, he is the definitive men director. These are movies about men. We go immediately to, these are movies about the human consciousness.
Worlds. He builds worlds.
Yes. And
it's like, no, it's
spirituality.
It's 12 Angry Men.
It's men being men around other men.
Yes.
And sometimes a woman gets caught in the crosshairs. There are rare exceptions. Like if I'm thinking of Sandra Bernhard in The King of Comedy. Now that's a rare wackadoo performance.
And she wasn't keeping her mouth shut. So there you go.
Ding. But I thought it was telling when they actually talk about one of the few movies he ever made about a woman, Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, which Ellen Burstyn brought to him. And he didn't want to do it because he said, quote, I don't understand women.
It's like, how can I talk about women?
Yes.
And it was, but also they were quick with it to be like, I know you guys say I don't do movies about women. And it's true.
Right.
And
not that I demand you make bad movies about women, but it's just, can someone just say, this is a movie maker who makes movies about men?
Exactly. And I think it's like why I'm not asking for your lens on my experience,
Yeah.
honestly, because especially as the series goes on, his relationships with women and the way he views them as respectfully objects that are too far away for him to control or contain. I don't necessarily need what he thinks the inner workings of that person is.
Yeah.
And you do see, over time when he gets to Casino with Sharon Stone and she makes a funny anecdote, but a true anecdote about having to chase him down to get him to pay attention to her.
Right, because he's spending all his time with Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci on that set.
And his answer to that was, well, Bob and Joe take a lot of energy. Okay, but you have a third star there, and she is the one who the finance people are calling to double check that they should keep funding your movie.
Yeah.
Maybe give that shine a little bit of attention as well. But yeah, I mean, I have this conversation about a lot of male directors, a lot of white directors, and it's the Mike White. I don't necessarily need to see Black Lotus.
Yeah, right.
I don't want to hear what he has to say.
Well, now I'm thinking about it, but okay.
Now thinking about it, we all go to DR and have a good time. But there is, I've had a moment of like acceptance that I would rather hear certain stories from people who have a little bit of, skin and uterus in the game.
Yeah.
But it is very clear that he is aware of that reputation, and whether or not he loves the female actors on his sets, I don't deny that, but whether or not he cares to look at their stories in a way beyond showing Cameron Diaz with all of the trinkets around her bosom, I don't know.
Right. No, I have said this before about Martin Scorsese, but it is a little telling to me that he works with the same men again and again. And there's almost never been a woman in more than one of his movies. I believe Barbara Hershey is in Boxcar Bertha and in The Last Temptation of Christ, but that's only that. Like, never Cate Blanchett, never Ellen Burstyn, never, Liza Minnelli. And also it must be said, a lot of these women in all these movies get knocked in the face. I mean,
yeah, I think he talks about that when the improv scene that they wrote the night before for Wolf of Wall Street with Margot Robbie.
Yes.
And, there's different moments of domestic violence in most of his movies. But that feels true to those men's stories.
Namely, yes, whatever his name is, Jordan Belfort. Is that right?
Yeah. He knocks her out. It's in Raging Bull, which, makes sense to that character. In trying to create a full portrait of what these men's lives look like, it is that their insecurity makes them hurt the women in their lives.
Correct. Yes. Was there any particular movie you were psyched to revisit? I will say I was blown away to see how fucking young Leo looked in The Aviator.
Oh yeah, Kate looking. I remember at the time.
We needed more Kate. She's interviewed in the documentary for 2 seconds. Yeah.
You see her standing with a plum when he finally wins the award, but I don't know. I almost texted you last night, be like, "Is my ass about to watch Gangs of New York?" Yeah. I just didn't have the 4 hours. Like, and that's the thing. You do have to commit to it. I don't know. I feel like I need to go and do Mean Streets again, which I haven't done in a really long time. I haven't done Raging Bull in a long time, but that's like that's a Thursday. That's definitely not like a Monday night. It's
pretty grueling.
It's pretty grueling. I am someone who watches The Departed probably every other year.
That's so interesting. That's one of the rare movies I can think of where, to me, the worst performance got nominated. Mark Wahlberg. I just feel like he's giving you a huge, like, he's like, his actions are so big, it's like he's the mascot of a baseball team.
I don't know. Have you ever been in like outside Fenway when an asshole's trying to be like, oh, you don't want to fucking be it?
Riri? No.
You've been free.
Yes.
It's not fun, but it's very realistic.
Yeah, you chose where you went to college.
I know, but that is one of those things where I was close enough to that ecosystem where I was like, I don't know, Martin Sheen sounded pretty good.
Yeah.
Those guys, I like a old white guy in a bar, and those guys felt very real, and that's something, again, that felt very contemporary for him too. Yeah. After like a run of, Aviator and Gangs of New York and Age of Innocence, it's like he was like, no, everybody can have cell phones. Yeah. Which must have been a little kooky for him.
I'm sure. Yeah. Yes. The movie also made a point of saying that lots of actresses have been nominated for Oscars for his movie. They set a record amount. That feels like it's impossible given Woody Allen. I'll do the research eventually. But who's your favorite woman in a Martin Scorsese movie?
I mean, I would say it has to be Kate Blanchett as Catherine.
Yeah. I
Hepburn?
mean, I would describe that as a big swing, literally with a golf club.
I think
But
I don't know. There is something, and they focus in on that scene where she's trying to get him to come out of the screening room when
he's become a recluse.
when Howard Hughes is deciding that peeing in bottles is the only way forward. And I think that Kate Blanchett played it so beautifully. And like I just picked that out of the air, but I think that for a filmography of large, Margot in the little skirt and Catherine Moriarty getting beat up, to that amount of nuance in a female performance is not often something that he allows them to have.
Yes, that's true.
But then, other than that, it's Lorraine Bracco in Goodfellas.
Oof, she is awesome in that movie.
But I'm Dr. Melfi until I die. So there you go.
Oh, are you really? Are you a Sopranos girl?
Yeah,
I'm obsessed with his mom in that show, Nancy Marchand.
I think I was talking to our friend Sam Greisman, and we were talking about, after Diane passed away, I was doing Godfather. And I was just losing it, being like, I'm quoting these movies in order. That's strange. She's like, no, that makes sense for you. I do like these like boy, muscular, I'm sad movies. And I think that is part of the reason why I like seeing the Mount Rushmore of Frances and Marty and all of them together, and the fact that they were obviously doing a lot of drugs in the hills in the 70s.
Oh, yeah. I was very
really
interested in the amount of times he almost died. And by the way, that actually gets into my main criticism of this docuseries, whereas so a lot of this movie is just about interviewing Martin Scorsese and asking about the various eras he was a part of. But I do feel like he has sort of told this story to himself and other people so many times that his mythology felt like his life, he had already storyboarded his life, and we were just being let in on that storyboard.
There's no way anything that he did not want us to see is in it, of course.
Yeah.
I think there are some comedic needle drops when you cut to his editor.
Thelma Shoemaker, which we should get into. She was fabulous in this movie.
She's my favorite part of any retrospective with Marty, because she refuses to leave her computer setup.
No, she's like, here I am in the bay.
And she's like, I have to be at my bay. I have to be ready to show you the shot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thank you, girl. Like, let's do a in real time filmography. So there are some moments of like, I don't know if he's telling the exact truth on that one. But even that is a Henry Hill look away comedic pop. There are these men who have crafted their lives and crafted the stories, and now he is a father in his daughter's lives, and now he has come back to saying that he is a lapsed Catholic. He is someone of faith. So we're looking back at the crunchier edges with a wider lens through the window.
It was interesting when she was asked, does Martin Scorsese have a problem with women? She goes, you'll have to ask him that.
Yeah.
And then somebody else goes, oh, yeah, once upon a time around the office, he would have a temper. And then they got away from that really quickly,
well,
too.
Isabella Rossellini,
who was married to Martin Scorsese, we should say.
For 5 years. Also, I mentioned this to Lewis earlier. My favorite thing with these docs, especially about men, it's to see which of their exes show up to the shoot.
Yeah.
And he had 2. He's been married a lot of times.
Which is less than 50%.
Exactly. But Isabella Rossellini was like, of course I'll talk about it. Mati. El petito Mati. Martino. She discussed the fact that one day she was like, he was very violent, not towards me, not physically, but he could tear up a room, and how a friend of his videotaped him in a rage. And then he looked back at it, and he was like, I didn't know I looked like that. And it's also, that's a perfect story for this person.
I know.
I was like, oh,
it wasn't
you saw the
I
footage?
Was directed that I knew.
It wasn't until my performance was so moving that I had to change my life. But there is something.
I was the Ray Liotta. Yeah.
I have been giving these casting notes, these like, I love watching him just try so hard not to give a line reading.
Yeah.
Also in some of the footage where he's like moving them, like, maybe you say it like this. But that is, this person had a anger issue, and I looked at the length his now head of his film society, but his former assistant worked for him. It's only been 13 years or 14 years since she said that he used to really be a tough guy to be around.
Yeah.
But, branding is everything.
I think this is also the joy of watching a docuseries like that. Like, they did tell us one story, but you and I are sitting here being like, we actually found the real story in the margins.
My search history is just Scorsese down right now.
Yeah.
Because that is the most fun part for me when I watch these types of documentaries where I'm like, Okay, I guess I'm gonna learn about the seminary. I guess I'm gonna
Yeah.
figure out what factory was next to
I
that
grew up
graveyard.
Catholic, and he really does make you think you're missing out on some grandeur when
Yeah,
I'm telling you it's like old guys named exactly Tom.
it's just a lot of incense.
Yeah.
I've spent some time in a pew. It's too much for me.
Yeah,
But
no. I have 4 of the 7 sacraments, I think. I know
what are
it
you doing with
shows.
what are you doing with the other three? You ever gonna get them?
Last rites, we'll see.
We'll see if we do
Yeah.
it.
What did you think of Mr. Scorsese? Please enlighten us. And by the way, if you haven't seen The King of Comedy, which remains my favorite of his,
Mm.
if you haven't met 50 Rupert Pupkins in this age of social media, then we're not living the same life. That continues to be the most prescient movie he ever made.
If you had a hard take on Joker 2,
Uh,
you have to see it.
or a soft take.
A soft take. If you've
Yeah.
been typing on Threads, let us know.
Yeah, so Stephanie Germanotta, if you have any comments, throw them down. We'll be right back with more Keep It, but before that, some quick housekeeping. They say history is written by the victors, but who tells our story during the fight is just as important, and traditional media just isn't cutting it. We see the headlines, we hear from the nation's most powerful leaders, and we watch pundits analyze it, all in studios far removed from the everyday people caught in the crosshairs. Well, not anymore. Alex Wagner wants to step away from the traditional media bubble and towards the folks most affected by our unprecedented times in her new show, Runaway Country with Alex Wagner. She'll bring you stories from the front lines and the voices of those too often left out of the conversation. You can listen to the trailer now. Tune into the premiere of Runaway Country with Alex Wagner on October 23rd. New episodes drop every Thursday. Make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and watch on YouTube. And also, the holidays are around the corner, and we're excited for gathering, baking, and our favorite tradition, participating in the unhinged discourse about Santa. Just in time, the Crooked Store has brought back its fan favorite, Santa is a Woman crew neck, sweatshirts and long sleeve tees, this time in festive new colors. Grab one to wear to your next holiday party or at your family Christmas, both of which were definitely organized by a woman because a man has never been thoughtful enough to get every sibling the perfect gift, let alone the whole world. Pick up one now at crooked.com/store. All right, we'll be right back with Michelle Wolf. Doctors call it weight cycling. Half of Americans do it, and if you do it enough, you are at risk of diabetes, liver damage, heart attack, and stroke. Weight cycling is when you lose 10 or so pounds, but then you put the pounds back, plus a couple more. That puts tremendous strain on your organs and leads to serious health issues. Bottom line, most people need help to stop weight cycling, and here's a great way. Non-prescription Lean was created by doctors. Lean is an oral supplement, not a GLP-1 injectable, and the science is impressive. Its studied ingredients also target weight loss in 3 powerful ways. Lean helps maintain healthy blood sugar, it helps control appetite and cravings, and it helps burn fat by converting it to energy. And burning fat helps keep the weight off. If you want to lose meaningful weight at a healthy pace and keep it off, add Lean to your diet and exercise lifestyle. Get 20% off when you enter Keep It at takelean.com. That's code Keep It at takelean.com. Keep It is brought to you by Factor. Fall always feels like a reset. I'm in the middle of one right now. But between busier routines and shorter days, finding time to cook can be tough. Take it from me, I've never done it. That's why I love Factor. Their chef-prepped, dietitian-approved meals make it easy to enjoy something comforting and delicious, no matter how hectic the season gets. Choose from a wider selection of weekly meal options, including premium seafood choices like salmon and shrimp, at no extra cost. Plus, there are even more GLP-1 friendly meals and new Mediterranean diet options packed with protein and good-for-you fats. From more choices to better nutrition, that's why 97% of customers say that Factor helped them live a healthier life. Feel the difference no matter your routine. Do you know why I'm checking my phone right now? Because my Factor meals are literally arriving soon. I want to be there for them. Put them right in the fridge, cook them up when they need to be cooked, eat them, delicious, and look at me, leaner than ever. Eat smart at factormeals.com/keepit50off and use code KEEPIT50off to get 15% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code KEEPIT50off at factormeals.com for 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. Get delicious, ready-to-eat meals delivered with Factor. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. This week's guest is hilarious both in front of and behind the camera. She's written for Late Night with Seth Meyers, The Daily Show with Trevor Noah, and her own talk show, The Break. She also hosted one of the most memorable White House Correspondents' Dinner in decades, and now she's back with a new stand-up special called The Well, currently streaming on Netflix. Please welcome to Keep It, Michelle Wolf.
Hi, hello. Thank you for having me.
And you are broadcasting to us live from Barcelona. And not only is your new special about motherhood, you are mothering right now. I can hear mothering occurring in the very room you're in.
There's so much happening at the moment. I have a brand new baby. My toddler just got home. I'm slightly discombobulated. But you know what? if you hear a little person in the background, that is one of my babies. So
It's nice to know you weren't making that up for the special.
yeah, I thought about it.
It felt like first-person experience. I was trying to, it wasn't just fan fiction or something.
I thought maybe I'd really go full in for the experience. I really wanted to relate to other mothers.
Now, let's talk about, first of all, you being in Barcelona and performing there regularly now. Just tell me, what is that like? Is that much different than working here?
I mean, it's different and it's the same, like there's a really international audience. You get people from all over Europe. You get, people from Latin America, South America. You get other Americans, British, all over the globe. It's a really international audience. So I feel like, you travel all over the States to kind of test out your material. And here it's kind of you have this huge sample size already. But it is, there are certain things where it's like, it is a little bit harder sometimes for the jokes to relate, especially if they're like too in the weeds kind of American. But I love the vibe of the stand-up scene here. It feels like kind of the vibe of when I was coming up in New York. Which is very like people are excited about comedy. They're working really hard. They're coming up with really creative and fun things. And yeah, so it's like it's a newer comedy scene here, but it's really fun to be part of.
Did you ever have any designs to be living in this part of the world, though? Like, are you shocked to be in Barcelona?
I mean, if I would have told my like middle school or high school self that I would be living in Europe, I would have been like, oh my God, did you win the lottery? What happened? Because I loved the idea of Europe. I didn't really travel. I didn't travel outside of the States until I was in college. And the first time I traveled outside of the States I went to Spain. Like, it was so beautiful. The windows, the doors, the old streets, we were in Pamplona. I did the Camino de Santiago. So my first taste of Europe was Spain. So it's nice to kind of be back here. Kind of not semi-permanently, I guess. I don't know.
Now, watching your new special, The Well, I noticed that in that special, you have one child, but you now have two children. And it appears like when you do a Netflix special, you have to sort of plan for it to be released a lot later. Does that make it difficult to sort of choose the material to put in the special?
Well, this one, I chose, I recorded it in November of 2023, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. I would have loved to put it out, later that year or, early the following next year. But I wasn't sure if I wanted to put it on Netflix, if I wanted to do YouTube, if I wanted to kind of, see if there was another streaming option. So I just held on to it. And then I ended up taping another special in November of 2024. So I have one more special after this that I've already taped. Luckily enough, most of the problems in the world are not solved yet from 2023.
Yeah.
And in fact, most have probably gotten worse. So it's I feel like it's still really timely. And then motherhood is just a timeless, unrelenting escapade.
What I know most about motherhood, which by the way is very little, I do feel like I have learned from watching stand-up. And just like growing up, like that's like a ton of the material I was obsessed with. People were talking about the bewildering experience of being a parent. Were there any stand-ups before you that influenced this era of your comedy?
I feel like it's kind of newer to talk honestly about motherhood on stage. I think there's a lot of, there's some stuff in the past where it's kind of mentioned briefly, but to talk honestly about it, it's like, of course, like Ali Wong was the first one to like really be very pregnant on stage. And then, you have really good British comedians like Sarah Pascal and Catherine Ryan, who very openly talk about, having kids, what that's like. And I think there's like a real, to me, I really love hearing about honest experiences, not just like, either like the waka waka, but chum kind of jokes about motherhood, but really like the vulnerable ones where it's like, what really happened? Like was it embarrassing for you? Was it hard? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? And and as someone who didn't really talk about my personal life that much, it's been very, it's allowed me to kind of open up and share a bit of my life that I've never really delved into before.
No, I think of you primarily as a stand-up, but you also are a veteran of these late night comedy shows. I'm a writer for Jimmy Kimmel. Do you have fond memories of writing for that format? Because to me, it's like the only comedy job you'll ever have that almost feels like writing for a newspaper. Like you're up every day, you have a deadline to hit. It goes, the paper goes to bed at a certain hour, has to go out, and there's a real schedule to it. Do you miss anything about that world?
I mean, it is, as you know, a very much a hamster wheel. But what it really taught me was that, like, no matter what mood you're in, you have to write. You have to produce. You have to write these jokes. And that made me such a better writer, because I think a lot of times as like creative people, we kind of wait to be in a good mood to do something. This taught me how to write when I was in a bad mood or like didn't feel well, or, like it was a job. You have to get it done. There is a deadline. The show tapes at 5:30 or whatever time, your show tapes at. And it's just, and so I'm really grateful for that. And I did, it's fun to make silly topical jokes, or I don't know, not even silly jokes about things that are happening right now that you wouldn't necessarily be able to put in your stand-up because it's not going to make sense in, even next week, let alone, a couple months from now. So I really love doing that as well. But, I don't know. I worked with really cool people. So there is a lot I miss about it. But I do like not having to be on that kind of schedule.
We have to talk about this special in particular because you get into one of my favorite topics, period, in any milieu, and that is Martha Stewart.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
yes.
in my opinion, she is never discussed enough, even during the heyday when we were discussing her all the time, because she's so one of a kind as a personality and as a producer of things.
She literally put out this documentary, like, what was it, just last year?
Right.
And I feel like she's still not talked about enough. Like, people should have seen that documentary and been like, this woman, like, I think she's beyond. Like, I absolutely love her. I will defend until my dying day that, obviously I don't know her personally, but whatever people called her, a bitch, blah, blah, blah. This is a woman who knows how to do things. She knows how to do things and she knows how to do them well. So you better do them as well as she does. And that does not make you a bitch. That makes you very good at what you do. And you're running a business and you need to be precise. I love her. I think she's amazing. And I also don't think she should have gone to jail.
Oh, there's that too. I was blown away to learn that she would have only lost like $40,000 had she not done the thing that landed her in jail. It's like $40,000. Like Martha like spends that, whatever, going to the store.
Yeah, she spends that on like ostriches or something, like she's like, and her Instagram is one of my favorite things ever. If you go into like, she definitely writes most of her own Instagram posts, and they're like, some of them are very bird specific or very plant specific. And you're just like, she's a nerd for this stuff.
Yes.
She absolutely loves her farm. She loves her, her guinea fowl, like she knows all about flowers and plants and what to do and how to, she's an expert. And we don't treat her like an expert. We treat her like some sort of like, I don't know, like influencer. And I'm like, she's not an influencer. She's very, very good at this.
You actually kind of get into this in the special where you talk about it's not appreciated that she's like a connoisseur, and that like the definition of whom we consider authorities on things like via social media and stuff is really changing because nobody actually knows anything. Like people just pretend to know things. Does that disturb you? Like, does social media and who you see on it depress you?
Yes, constantly on a daily basis. I mean, it's the devil that we all, we know, we love, we hate, like it's a medium you have to use, we all have to have social media. We all have to have podcasts. We all have to, post things that make daddy algorithm happy, I don't, I think there's a lot of people on social media who aren't, they're making a living, and you can't hate on people for that necessarily, like it's whatever, how you make your money is how you make your money. And I'm proud of you on some level, but I really do think it's kind of, and I think this is purposeful, dumbed down what we think is entertainment. There's some really great comedy shows. Like, for example, I love Veep. Veep's my favorite show ever. And that's a really good show. It's really well written. There's so many jokes. I think it's a phenomenal show. That takes time, that takes craft, that takes talent. Then there's a lot of people on social media that are like, look, I'm throwing everything in my pantry into a pan, and then I'm going to eat that, and you're like, what are we showing? Why am I consuming this? Why am I scrolling through and looking at all these things that I don't like or find entertaining, and sometimes find literally disgusting?
Speaking of people making money, you recently just turned down the Riyadh Comedy Festival. What has been your takeaway from this whole experience, and how people are seemingly defensive about being a part of it? About the I call the indecent proposal to join it. What's been your takeaway?
I mean, I'm a bit of two minds on this, where it's like, I didn't have to make a decision, like I didn't have to like morally be like, well, should I, shouldn't I? I was about to have a baby. I couldn't go. Right. Yeah. But I do think like there's a version where it's like, you could decide to go and then just be like, yeah, the government is paying for this. I'm hoping to say some stuff that people might not normally get to hear over there. Or, you're a comic, like, you could argue that, especially like people of color, Black people in America, they don't have really freedoms or rights that everyone else necessarily has in America, even though they should on paper. In practice, they don't. And they're like, well, is it safer for me to say things there, or is it safer for me to say things here? Like, I don't necessarily think, I don't know. I don't mind that people went. I really don't. I don't think it's, I think, especially like Jessica Kirson, she said that if she went, she was like, I'm a lesbian. You have to let me be like openly lesbian. I have to be able to talk about this on stage. And they said yes. And I think that's a really interesting thing to be able to do in Saudi Arabia. I'm sure there's some people that have never gotten to hear any of those things before. And who knows? Maybe it'll change some stuff. Maybe it won't. But I don't know. Kind of think it's worth a shot.
My last question for you is, obviously, you had a very memorable stint hosting the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Lots of conversation followed that. But do you have a favorite experience from literally just being in that room? Like something that you couldn't have predicted happening that happened?
It's not a good favorite, but it is a favorite where we were having this, everyone's having dinner, kind of milling around, getting seated. And Kellyanne Conway and Jeff Zucker.
Yes.
Jeff Zucker. And they saw each other from across the room. And Kellyanne Conway was always kind of the villain on CNN. She was always saying stuff that the other like panel hosts were like, I can't believe she'd say, like making a big thing about it. And Jeff Zucker and Kellyanne Conway see each other from either side of the room. Jeff's like, Kellyanne. She's like, Jeff. And they like walk towards each other and embrace each other. And I was like, oh, you guys are friends and this is entertainment. Like what we are considering news is entertainment for you guys. And I already knew, like I knew logically that was happening. That's kind of what I based what I was talking about on, and how the media's essentially betrayed us as, in terms of news. But to see it right in front of me like that, I was like, this is so corrupt. This is so bad. Like, and it's all at the sake of us, the citizens, the people who like genuinely want information, like I understand they want to put it with like, they need clicks, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But like news should not be entertainment. It should just be information.
It really does feel like a scene out of like the movie Network or something,
Yes, yeah.
Like on the nose. Can you believe it? They're hugging. Yeah.
Which is by far, I think, one of my favorite movies ever, and so relevant. Made in the 70s and so relevant to today.
Oh, God. Also, just imagine hugging Kellyanne anyway, no matter who you are. That's something we should all be able to get behind.
It's like hugging a bag of bones that still have this evil spirit attached, Like...
Happy Halloween. Yes.
Yeah.
Michelle, thank you so much for being here. Such a pleasure talking to
you.
I
am so sorry about all the chaos.
Oh, no, please. I feel like I'm in like the sitcom of you right now. It's exciting. And we're back with the saltiest part of the episode. It's Keep It. Riri, what are you angry, angsty yourself about?
I'm plucked about. My Keep It this week is to the Skims Merkin thong that was sold out in hours last week. Yes, Lewis, I will explain to what that is.
I was going to say, a shiver ran through all of my remaining body parts that function.
On the website, they described it as a faux hair micro string thong. I am so tired. It's not just the fact that this invaded my TikTok algorithm, which is mostly Married at First Sight UK and Australian women trying to recover from bad BBLs. I'm so confused how we are rebranding little bush wigs as something that children need to go out and buy immediately. It's fascinating. Kim was at the Academy Gala this weekend, and she said, that was just a fun idea I had. There was a shoot, and someone wanted to, like, have hair down there once. And I was like, couldn't this be easy and make it a thong? Kimberly, children are dying. It's so...
Still, they so remain dying.
Crazy. And, like, not to be the annoying person, but yes, Merkins were invented in the 1950s. Pros have been using them since the 16th century. This isn't a new concept, and I'm no shade to anyone who is lasered and doesn't feel like doing a full install, but why are we pretending that this is a new thing that you're bringing to like the fashion space when like Maison Margiela did it last year on the runway? Stop pretending it's new and just say that it's accessible. That's all it is. It's the cerulean monologue with, I don't know, Bush.
Got it.
Anyway, that's my Keep It for the week.
It also just feels like everything about Kim Kardashian is break the internet oriented. Like somebody's shocked or else it didn't happen.
Exactly. And like, look, I am unfortunately canonically publicly on that woman's side because of the last man she was married. I don't have the agita towards them that a lot of people do, but there is this like, when they tried to make cornrows into boxer braids in 2019 when she was launching the brand, they tried to copyright kimono as the name of the brand.
Oh, that's too bad.
And everyone had a bit of a reaction to that one.
As we all know, that's Madonna's thing.
Exactly. Oh God. Yeah, but there is this like think tank in Calabasas vibe of like, you know what, we're just about to shock them. Like, mama, no, you can just go get a bang unit and just handle that yourself. And so I think it's not even the product, it's the fake innovation that really bothers me, because we're not, especially in fashion, especially in a world right now where everyone is like seeing, oh, YSL did this 2 seasons ago, and so now it's at Zara, now it's at ASOS, now it's at Shein. That's the way that the industry works. But let's not pretend that we're really like breaking the mold or busting the bush. It just bothers me.
I feel like you're bearing the lead here. How do you feel that she is the lead of a show in which people like Sarah Paulson and Glenn Close are supporting?
Here's the thing. I think synergy is happening. I think we're doing vertical integration in a way that's really insane. I think she has a deal at Hulu. It is a Fox show. Business be business.
Yeah.
And it's like, am I going to watch every episode? Sure. You will get a text the next morning at 7 a.m.
I can't get over that it's called All's Fair. It's so airport book.
All's fair, love and war. You're like, yes. Sarah Paulson, she's in a brown bob and it's angled. Like,
can you believe it?
I love it. Like all of them, nobody. There is a second time actress. This is Kim's second show, I think, at this point.
American Horror Story.
Yeah, she did the American Horror Story season that I couldn't really get into, but like
that's the theme with most of them.
Exactly, but there must be a freedom to these actresses of award and nominated fame all around them. Tiana Taylor about to do an Oscar run immediately after this premieres, where like, yeah, you're one of your lead girls isn't that experienced. You can have a little bit more fun. It's like when Burlesque came out and Christina Aguilera said that Cher threw takes so that she can get extra ones. Sure, I think the generosity of spirit and titty from Niecy Nash, it probably was fun. And I'm gonna watch the Kardashian episode where they go to Chris's house because why are those people? Why is Glenn Close at Kris Jenner's house? I don't know, but I'm gonna have a ball watching it.
Glenn Close also getting pretty good at social media recently, but this actually gets into my keep it, which is I am really worried about this Oscar season. It feels like there are 3 good movies. I saw One Battle After Another, which you just referenced. Tiana is great in it. As we know, she should have been in literally 15 more minutes of that movie and I would have been thrilled.
Yeah.
The performances in that movie are great. Great action movie. I don't know that it's delivering the sort of emotional or not emotional heft, a theme heft that I want from a movie that wins the Best Picture Oscar, but it is nonetheless very entertaining and very well done. Otherwise, I saw Marty Supreme with
you saw it already.
with Timothée Chalamet. Really good.
How's Gwen?
Give her 15 more minutes. I want another scene from her. 2 more scenes.
But she had to go goop.
Right. And
She
by the
might have
way,
gooped.
as I said last week, watch me Postmates that every day.
It's so good.
It's good food.
That Ghost Kitchen slaps.
But otherwise, like Begonia, like
you have Hamnet coming.
But like that's it. It feels like Hamnet is the only thing I'm
I
really
think
looking
we
forward
are
to.
really
and
putting
sentimental value.
all of our hopes on Hamnet at this point,
Yeah.
which also because it feels like a classic shape of a race. You have a Shakespeare-esque story.
Right. There should be one throwback movie.
Exactly. And one that has the face of a man who likes to run away from women in parks. Love you, baby. And
go right to Sweetgreen.
And just put a wired headphone in per Halloween last year and have a good time. But yeah, I'm not, as someone who is on a thread of people with you and hears about this every day, I don't know who I am deeply what movie I'm really looking forward to drop.
Yeah, and also I can't identify who the dark horses are even.
No.
Like who could emerge out of nowhere to make this interesting. It feels like there's no other way to go but for the PTA movie to really dominate the season.
Which I think it's going to. I think,
because people want him to win. It's that feeling like when Revenant happened.
It's the feeling with Marty won for
Departed.
Yeah, for Departed. There are certain
at least with him we got false starts. We're like, is it The Aviator year? Is it Gangs of New York?
I didn't necessarily need PTA to win for Licorice Pizza, but I think there is something to. We have an immigration line in this movie, and we have Tiana Taylor rocking them jeans, and again, Regina Hall not getting enough. But there is
talk about someone who needed 2 more scenes. People like she was so good in this. I'm like, what? Anybody could have done that role. I say this affectionately to her.
Care. I want her publicist to bring it out. I want to see the machine getting her as far as possible because why not? That is a quality. But it is tough, especially knowing that Benicio came to set and came up with that whole sequence with them.
Oh, right.
In process.
Well, also, by the way, I want to say about Regina Hall, following last year when fucking Isabella Rossellini got that run for, again, turning on a printer.
And she made those copies.
Yes.
And she gave those men those copies.
Right. And she said, here are the copies.
Here are the copies.
And now I'm going to leave the movie.
I loved it. She was like,
Regina did do more than that.
Exactly. Isabella was like, this is men's business. And I'm going to get this nom and roll. Yeah. Regina was like, I was once tried to be a nun. I'm going to visit these black nuns and maybe cry in the back of a car.
A lot of the times, the women who get nominated are the one woman who stand between the men. Mm-hmm. And do you know who that's a quote of?
No.
Meryl Streep talking about her role in The Deer Hunter. And I often wonder if that's why she was never in a Martin Scorsese movie, because she doesn't want to be the one woman standing between the men.
And that is a longer conversation we will have just after this break.
I was going to say, Riri is a Meryl stan. Wait, before I let you go, how are you feeling about the possibility of Devil Wears Prada 2? I mean, about where it's going.
I think that not everything I wish for needs to happen.
Sure.
But I hope it goes great. I do worry. I mean, I don't. Thank you to everyone who knows me, who has sent me every press release about it. I don't know. Also, I am nervous that they haven't released a real log line yet. So we are kind of just working off of vibes. But I love Emily Blunt. I think Annie, she's tripping in the street in a coat.
Yep. As she should be.
As she should. Stanley still got that ring on. I will, of course, be seated. But of course, I worry that the fact that my LLC is named after the movie will become a problem.
Oh, I see. I continued to support Meryl doing anything in the cinematic arts because, as you know, right now she's a television star.
A streaming television star with 2 little braids, acting in, I want to say, Law and Order New Zealand is her story arc right now. But, you know, the love of a funny man. She loves to be around funny men.
Meryl won that Emmy for Holocaust in the 70s, and then she followed up with Angels in America for Kicks. I do not need any more television arts for her.
I want it, babe. I want her to, I don't know, play someone's grandmother on a Freeform. Is Freeform still around? We'll see. Yeah. She might know.
Wow. And you think she would do that because of her Marty Supreme?
She's a Marty Supreme, baby.
Martin Short, if you're the reason this is all happening, just know I'm on to you. Is she still playing Joni Mitchell?
I don't know.
Yeah, Cameron Crowe, I know he was hitting that up for a while.
And I think she's staying as close to her apartment as possible.
Dang, how very Barbara. Riri, thank you for being here.
This was so fun to be back. Thank you for having me.
It's so great that you're going to leave this room and then just be on a text thread with me where you're stuck.
Yeah, I'll be like, guys, I just did it. It was fun. This is really cool.
Thank you to Michelle Wolf for joining us today. Thank you to Martin Scorsese for giving us that crazy Sandra Bernhard role. I still think about it. And we'll see you next week on Keep It.